Hey, welcome back to the channel. This week we got another toolbox, or really I guess a tool chest. This one's probably going to be my most challenging yet. This thing is a mess. Check it out. As you can see, it's not in very good shape, but you can make out the Centennial logo there, which would date this to, I guess, the late 50s. But man, this thing's a mess. I bought this earlier this year on Facebook Marketplace. It's full of dirt and dust. It was sitting outside in the gravel parking lot, really just kind of piled up with a bunch of other ones. The drawers sort of open and they are full of what looks like concrete or cement dust. The top's bent, it's pushed in, which doesn't allow this to shut all the way. Missing handles here and here. This drawer does, or the cover does come out. This drawer's creased and bent and torn. Yeah, it's going to be a mess. All right, might as well jump into it. I'm just going to start at the top and work my way down. So it looks like these are no different than some of the later style drawers. There's a hole here and you can see a little metal tab sticking out. And it's catching on something on the slide, so I think if I just, yeah, there we go. All right, I got that one. All right. Okay. Check that out. All right, let me get this thing cleaned out. All right, here's where I'm at. I was able to get all these out, just kind of reverse the same procedure with pushing it on the tab. This mechanism here is spring loaded, and that's what holds the front cover in place. The other side, the spring is missing, so I'll have to replace that, but I got to figure out how to get this door off. And these are going right into the ultrasonic cleaner. This tab here and this here, I think if I bend this straight, it'll come out, and hopefully the metal is not too far gone where I would be able to rebend it back. But before I do that, I'm going to see if I can straighten this out a little bit. All right, I got me a 2x4 over here so it catches these corner pieces, which is much stronger than this because this is already bent a little bit. Let's see. A little bit more to go, and I need to adjust my clamp down here a little bit. Well, it's not bad. I got a little crinkle right here, but I might be able to hammer that out once I get this out. I think I'll try and get this door off. Then I'll really be able to work that metal and get it straight. Because as you can see, it's working better, but it's still catching right here. So I'm going to try and clamp it straight. I need to get in here and flatten this backside first, I think. Well, that tightens that gap up. The problem is I'm getting a little bit of spring back. Yeah, that is way better already. It'll need to be tweaked a little bit more for the door to operate properly. But all right, I'm gonna try and hold my camera freehand. But this is what I ended up with after disassembly. There's the cabinet. You can see there's a lot of rust in this thing. Got the bottom, all the crud out of there, or most of it. It's pretty rusty. There's the door on the bottom. That's the top drawer assembly. It's not too bad. That's the middle drawer, which is going to need a lot of work. And the bottom drawer. So I'm missing 2 drawer handles. And I'm pretty sure this is not factory, so I'll get that off after cleanup. Check that out. Here's the original paint color. Of course, it's that gray hammered finish that Craftsman did back then. Okay, I got all the wheels off, nuts and bolts out. It really didn't give me too much trouble. And these say on here, the Nagel Chase Manufacturing Company, Chicago. It's kind of cool. All this is going to go in the ultrasonic cleaner too, and as soon as it comes out, these will get WD-40'd and oiled up later. I just don't want those bearings to rust. All right, everything dried pretty good from the cleanup yesterday. Really gives me an idea of what was underneath all that dirt. No good news here. But I want to get this handle off, and then I'm going to see if I can get this badge off of here. I don't think it's salvageable. All right, it's time to get the casters cleaned up. I did one off camera. I'll show you a little more detail on that here in a little bit. But I'm going to start with these. I'm going to get the non-locking one cleaned up first. And I'm going to do almost all of this cleanup with these little, I just call them plastic wire wheels, and my Dremel tool. All right, I've got my 320 grit buffing wheel on here. I'm not really looking for a high shine. I'm looking just to blend the scratch marks from the 80 grit plastic wheel. These are great too, but when you start getting them on edges and stuff, these things just disappear right in front of your eyes. You kind of see the before and after. So I'll end up scraping some on here, then just getting it down in there best I can with my finger. Just trying to force it down in there. Now you can't hardly hear it, but it spins so easily. All right, now I want to get a little bit of 3-in-1 oil. I just got a little bit here in this syringe. I'm just going to try and drip some down in this axle. I don't need a ton. Get a little bit on this side. A little bit here. Okay, the casters are done. Got them looking pretty decent. They're not perfect by any means, but I think they're going to look really nice on the cabinet. Got them all. Just have a little grinding stone here on my Dremel. I'm going to see if I can't grind the back off of these, and hopefully it'll just come right off. still need to get the rivets out. They did not come through. It's actually going to be okay buying a new one, but I can't find one. I found one guy on eBay who makes this, but he wants $85 for them, and I just can't see spending $85 on that when I only pay $10 for the whole cabinet. So I'm going to try and restore this. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. First thing I do is get these rivets out of here, so I'm going to just try and Dremel them off the back. This metal is very thin, so I want to be careful, but I'm just going to use my spring punch and see if I can pop it out. Oh, it fell right out. Just going to use some degreaser cleaner and a soft or a nylon brush. See if we can see what's underneath here. I see a little red paint poking through right there. Boy, this stuff is not coming off. Try a little mineral spirits. All right, let's see if this does anything. Not making any progress. Well, before I get to paint stripper, I'm gonna try some acetone. All right, let me finish getting this clean and then we'll talk about repainting. All right, as you can see, I got it clean. Wiped it down with some alcohol, so I need this to look like this. I'm not very good at this detail painting. I'm gonna do the best that I can. It'll look better than it did when I took it off the cabinet for sure. All right, I'm gonna try and paint the red area first. All right, I came back and cleaned up this edge some. I'll hit it again. All right, I got some paint mixed up here. All right, got the badge done. I think it looks okay. I'm real happy with the blue color, the way it came out. It looks a little rough, but part of that is the metal just wasn't in great shape, but I was able to come back with some Q-tips and I basically took all the cotton off of it just to make it small and sharp and rub the lettering off to expose that. So yeah, it's not perfect, but I think it looks okay. I want to finish cleaning these slides up, and you can see they still have a lot of grease and stuff in there. Then I'll give them rub down with some 4/0 steel wool. This is the door panel from the front of the cabinet, and as you can see, it's got quite the bend in it. See how rocky it is. So I'm gonna just work to see if I can't bend this thing back in place, and actually it went pretty good right there. Still got a slight bend here. Luckily it wasn't creased. maybe an 1/8 inch gap in here where it's flat here and flat here, so I've got to bend it back this way, which is not that big a deal even though the whole drawer is pushed in. But the worst part about this one is these edges are really messed up. The weld has come loose and the metal's split. So and the problem is every time you try and pull this piece forward to straighten it, it was either pulling away here at the top or it was weakening right there where that tear is. So what I've done is I put some wood pieces here and clamped this in so that if I can pull on this now, it's not gonna pull down on that tear or that weakening weld joint. I've got one of my Jorgensen bar clamps here that set up in reverse. So when I clamp it, it's going to spread. Ooh, that's almost perfect. Okay, I'm not going to get it any better than that. And this is almost, I mean, it's 99.9% dead flat, so I'm real happy with that. But I still have the issue of this being loose here, which is just going to cause this to bend more. So I'm going to try something maybe a little unorthodox, but so I'm going to clean all this out with my Dremel tool, and I am going to push as much JB Weld steel down in this gap as I can on both sides, clamp it, and hope that that holds. As usual, I've made a huge mess. Now I want to get just a light clamp on there. Well, that was good. All right, that looks pretty good. Obviously, I've still got some other dings and stuff in this drawer, which I may try and work on those, but I just want to be careful I don't break that loose again. So I couldn't read this earlier. It's stamped backwards, so I'm going to flip this over, clean the inside of that so we can really read it. I think I know what it says, but let's check that out real quick. Okay, hopefully that's showing up, but it says Advertising Metal Display Company, Chicago, USA. If you know anything more about Advertising Metal Display Company, drop me a note in the comments or send me an email. Okay, I've got 3 of these drawers to do. It's going to take me the better part of a day to do each one. I'm not going to record a lot of that because I feel like this video is already going to end up being long enough. And you've kind of seen the process of cleaning, sanding, filing, bending, shaping, whatever I need to do to get these things back in a usable order. So I'll get these done and then we'll pick the video up right after that. Okay, if you remember back to the beginning of the video, this top drawer wouldn't shut. And I'll put a picture here real quick. And I thought it was because either the drawer was bent or this was bent, but it wasn't. It all had to do with the drawer slide. The one on this side was bent upwards, front and back, and this one was bent a little bit too. So I've had to work on those a little bit. I've got it now where it does shut. I've got a little bit more gap here than I do here, but at least it shuts. So I'm going to work on that a little bit more, but I wanted to get that figured out before I put paint on here in case I had to do any more beating and banging. So let's get back to the paint now. If you saw my video last week where I made these handles and polished this one up, this is what it looks like before polishing and after. And I really don't want it that shiny. I went back and use my 80 grit wheel on the Dremel to do this one. So I think I'm going to go back and do all these at the 80 grit and then probably go up to maybe 120. I really want these to be more of a satin look. I've got one drawer's already been painted. I did that off camera, and I'm going to finish the painting on the project off camera. Once you've seen some of it, you've seen it all. But got the rust fix on these. It's dried really good for a day. So yeah, I'm just going to get these painted and be right back. So I've got quite a few dents through here. This one I cannot get to because of the inner panel that holds the drawers. Well, I won't say that I'm done with body work, but I'll say I'm done with it for now. Got some of the dents out. Pretty happy with so far, but right now I want to go ahead and get this spring out. This is the lift mechanism, or actually the securing mechanism for the door front. When it rolls up, it slides underneath here, and it's just spring assist to hold it down. I'm missing the one on this side, so I want to get this off, one to clean, and two to go ahead and start looking for that. There we go. So I've got to find another spring like that. This is another reason why the door was sticking. There's a big bend here in this track. This one's pretty good and flat. So I'm going to see if I can flatten that one out. This one's fairly clean, but just look how much stuff is coming off of here. Well, if you saw that where this thing skipped on the edge, really messed up this knotted wheel. Hit me in the stomach, but it didn't hurt. But I did mess this up. I don't have another one, so I'm going to switch to a sander. Okay, off camera, I went back and sanded all the little dings and dents by hand, and then gave the entire panel a good hand sand with 120. Now I'm going to go ahead and kind of go the next step on this panel because I'm done for the day. I'll let that dry overnight, and then tomorrow I'll start working a different panel. And what I'll do is I'll put rust fix on. You can see there's no more loose of the red rust. I've got some staining in different places, but this product here, Rust Fix, will do a good job of stopping any more rust and just kind of sealing in and converting what's there now. So I'm just going to work it panel by panel. I'll get some flack about using so much Bondo on this, but when I sand it out, you'll see it's not that much. And this is basically going to be a display cabinet. So I'm not worried about the durability of the Bondo. I did get a lot of the dents out doing some body work with hammers and dollies, but I know this isn't going to be perfect, but I want to minimize these remaining dents as much as possible. I used my random orbital sander to hog out some of the where I had the Bondo too thick, and now I'm just going back with some 120 and doing some finish sanding here, and then I'll see if any of this needs to be readjusted. But you can see where the Bondo's left, that's where the low spots were, and this is where a high spot was. So this shows you just how beat up this cabinet was. All right, I got this side done. It feels really smooth. Again, you can just see all the little marks in here. None of these are real deep. This is the deepest one here, and I'm going to recoat that. Okay, finally, I'm ready to go to paint. It's not going to look, brand new, but hey, it's not brand new, and but it's going to look a lot better than it did. All right, if you remember back to the beginning of the video, I took these springs out of here. I wasn't sure exactly what they did. I know they had something to do with the door mechanism here. Let me get this light turned on. By the way, this is a light that Bill over at Rollerball recommended a couple weeks ago. I love this thing. I bought quite a few of them and given them to my friends. It's such an awesome light. But anyway, so this mechanism right here is when the front door comes up and pushes this up, it unlocks these drawers. So when it's down, this locks the drawers. The original spring, I wasn't sure this was even original. I only had one, and it was pretty stretched out. So I had some that were a little bit smaller in my little spring kit from Harbor Freight. So I just made a couple springs and bent them up to where I think they'll fit in there okay. There we go. So I just made those up to go back in. Here we go. Now, all right, here goes a big test. It's clear in here fine. I'm not going to do any more adjustments until I get the lock in and get it sitting up straight. It may hang fine. I was able to source a replacement lock. I sort of tested it. I couldn't fully test it because I didn't have the door back in, but I think if I used a lock and then this shaped piece, hopefully it's going to work okay. Hopefully that's showing up okay, but you can see where I just had to cut a notch out. There we go. I'm gonna do the best that I can to film this, but I got my little rivet set out here, and I'm just gonna take the smallest one. All right, so that fits in there and it looks good. I've got my little concave setting tool here. I'm gonna get some tape on the drawer so that I don't scratch anything up. Then I'm gonna get my little tool set on there. I'm actually gonna tape it down too. Well, I took it over to my anvil and it flattened out really nice. Now let's move the camera on the other side and see how it looks. Oh yeah, looks good. I'm going to repeat the process here. I've got my rivets. I'll get them put in here. I'll get everything taped off and get these over to the anvil and get them flushed out. Okay, that's my process of how I rivet things back on these toolbox drawers. It's rock solid. It's not going anywhere. I'll be able to load this thing up and pull on it for sure. All right, I'm going to get the rest of the drawers done. I am going to put this back on. Turns out it was original. I saw it in the catalog. I just shined it up kind of equal to what I did on the handles now. Lined up pretty nice. Oh yeah. Okay, just kind of a bottom to top review of the tool chest. I'm pretty happy overall with the way it came out, especially considering what I had to start with. This thing was an absolute basket case and was headed towards the scrap yard, and the guy sold it to me for 10 bucks. But you saw I restored the casters, got those where it'll actually roll around the shop now rather than just skidding across the floor. Got the door panel straightened out, got a replacement lock put in, and it works good. So you lift this up and slide it back, and it hits those two bars in there, which will unlock all the drawers. The drawers came out okay. If you remember, this one was split and bent all to pieces. It was torn. Got that fixed the best I can. My paint job's okay. I got a little heavy-handed in some areas, but that's okay. I kind of like the variation in the hammered look. Had to make 3 new drawer pulls. I think they came out pretty good, and the badge came out, it's okay. But this drawer works out good. These two, they're a little sticky because the drawer slides, if you saw earlier, were just bent all to pieces. So to get this one out, it's easier if I just put a little pressure up on that one. That comes out fine. And then the top one's just a little bit sticky. But other than that, yeah, they came out really good. The top, I put a leather tool mat on there because the top was just so dented and dinged, and there was no way I was saving that. I did discover that this handle was original, so I went ahead and cleaned it up to kind of match these and put it back on. I did find this cabinet as early as the 1952 catalog, so yeah, it's pretty old. But it's going to go great in the collection to house some old Craftsman tools. Well, hey, thanks for hanging around to the end. That one was a bear. Really cool old tool chest. I've been looking for one of those for a long time, probably 3, 4, 5 years. But I just didn't want to pay $500 to $700 for one. So found one for 10 bucks. It needed just a little bit of work, but I think it came out okay. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.